Hello everyone, my name is Clay and welcome to another edition of Terminally Nerdy's Indie Impressions, where I take a look at independent and non-AAA titles, giving you my quick first impressions after at least 2 hours of gameplay, because if it's good enough for Steam refunds, it's good enough for me, really. And today we're going to be talking about Dead Cells. Now, I'm going to level with you. I didn't think I would like Dead Cells originally. The description of it is generally given as a Dark Souls roguelike Metroidvania. And I like two of those three. I like roguelikes to an extent. I like Metroidvanias to an extent. I'm not a fan of Dark Souls kind of stuff. However, over my roughly 8.5 to 9 hours of playtime so far, I've discovered I quite enjoy Dark Souls, and that description is still incredibly apt. So what I mean by that is, it is Dark Soulsy in that you have a dodge mechanic, enemies are fairly difficult, you have to learn patterns, you have to learn pattern recognition, you can't just hack and slash your way through the game. It is a roguelike in that there is death, and when you die your progress is partially reset. And it is a Metroidvania in that you will, as you play, unlock new weapons, new mutations, and new permanent rune upgrades that will allow you to go different ways, access different areas. Gameplay is pretty straightforward. You will always start in the prison. You will then walk through a room showing you your current collection of unlocks. You will then get to pick two primary weapons out of a melee weapon, a ranged weapon, and a shield. And until you get certain permanent unlocks, you'll always start with the same three items: a basic sword, a basic bow, and a basic shield. Although the bow can rotate a little bit. Once you have a couple of unlocks using cells, you will then be able to do things like start with a random melee weapon from all the melee weapons that you have unlocked, start with a random shield, etc. After you exit the prison, you'll go into what I like to refer to as a safe room, and then you have to spend your cells. That safe room will also have in it two doors, one that will be open if you get there fast enough, and one that will be open if you kill enough enemies without taking damage in the preceding stage. So I think the first one you have to get there in 2 minutes or kill like 30 enemies. I've gotten pretty good now. I can usually get the 2-minute door every time. So now, cells are the currency of unlocks in this game, and you get cells by killing enemies, killing bosses, and getting into those aforementioned special doors, the 2-minute and the 30 enemies, etc. You cannot progress until you spend your cells. So when you get to the safe room after each stage, and after every stage there is a safe room, you have to spend your cells on one of your available unlocks. These unlocks include health potions and more uses of the health potion. More gold carried over after each death. You use gold at merchants to purchase items. You also use gold to re-roll the stats on items once you have that guy open. You will then, after you spend your cells, move into the next room, which once you have the forge, you can reforge your items. You can then talk to a guy and get one of mutations. Mutations are sort of permanent boosts, and there's things like do more damage after you kill an enemy briefly, heal yourself when you kill an enemy very slightly, heal yourself as you attack enemies if you have a speed bonus, and things of that nature. There's also a mutation that will give you a second life if you die. Once you've chosen your mutations, you go to the health restorer, which will refill all of your health potion uses and your health, and then you go to the next stage. And that's progression. Along the way, you'll fight bosses, various enemies. Enemies will drop cells randomly, they drop money in each stage, which is procedurally generated, and every time you die, everything changes. You'll find doors that you can open with gold to get new weapons and items. And enemies on occasion will drop blueprints, which, if you make it to a safe room with a blueprint, you will gain access to the ability to permanently unlock that with your cells. If you die at any point, you lose any cells that you were holding and any blueprints you were holding. And then you go back to the prison and repeat the entire process. Now, the interesting thing about this game is there is a story here. It is passively told. You will run across rooms randomly where you'll see messages and strange things going on. You'll run into statues that you can click a button on your controller and it'll give you a little hint. And you kind of uncover that this island has been infected with something. The king went mad, basically killed everybody as far as I can tell. The infection spread, mutated everything, and your prisoner, which is this little blob that just inhabits corpses and then moves along, seems to be trying to escape. It's fascinating, the story that plays out as you progress and as you learn, but you can completely ignore it. It's just a fantastically fun game to play. And this is the odd thing. I'm not generally good at Dark Souls-esque combat in 3 dimensions. But you put me in 2D and I'm apparently pretty good at it. I'm fairly solid at strategy and things, and I find myself doing very well in this game. I've gotten through the first 2 main bosses, which is the Concierge. He's the first boss, and when you see the stage Blackbridge, that's him. And then the second boss is the boss in the Clock Tower, and I fought him twice. Can't get through the castle, though. It's really confusing for me. Along the way, you can also find these runes, and these are how you unlock new paths. They go in a specific order, so the very first rune you will unlock will be a vine rune. Once you have it, you permanently have it, and then when you see these small little green clumps on your map, or in front of you, you can press a button and you will grow a vine, and you can climb it. This will unlock new paths. In fact, the very first time you get the vine rune, you will no longer have to go to this one village right after the prison. You can now access the toxic sewers. And as you go through there, you can use the vine to unlock another room, and then you get a rune, the teleport rune. And then all of a sudden, these statues that you keep seeing, now you can teleport between them. And then that teleport rune will let you, eventually, if you find it, get to the ram rune, which allows you to break floors with a specific rune on it. The 4th rune, I believe, is called Spider, and I don't have it yet. I've gotten as far as getting the ram. I have to use the ram rune to unlock a path to get to the Spider rune. So, gameplay is fast-paced, and the odd thing is it never feels unfair. When I die, it's usually because I misjudged something, I got too aggressive, I wasn't paying attention to patterns. Every enemy has a pattern. You need to learn them, and you will learn them. This game improves both you as a player and you as your character, because as you get more unlocks, you start being able to start the game with more powerful weapons. You also always get to equip what I like to refer to as tools, so you'll have 2 primary weapons and 2 tools, and these tools are all sorts of things. They can be grenades, knives, spells. My personal favorite are turrets. There's different kinds of turrets. You can get traps. There's even utility items, like a kind of a one-use healing / buffing item you can unlock. Each one has its own uses, and as you find new ones, you can replace them or eventually sell them. Overall, Dead Cells is phenomenal. It is absolutely phenomenal. It is well worth the purchase price. If you are even remotely interested in this after watching my runs up here, purchase this game. You will not regret it, I promise you. It is fantastic. As always, if you like what I'm doing, feel free to hit that like button. Oh, and real quick, it visually looks fucking stunning, and the music is fucking phenomenal. Seriously, it's just great. There is no complaint that I have about this game. Not at all. Other than the fact that it can be a little confusing with some of the weapons. Like, I hate the Spartan kick. It's the stupidest fucking weapon in the game. Anyway, if you like what I'm doing, feel free to hit that like button. If you don't like it, feel free to hit the dislike button. Feel free to subscribe for more of these independent game videos. I've got plenty more coming. I have a huge freaking list, and I'm always willing to take suggestions. If you leave a comment below, let me hear what you'd like me to take a look at. And as always, you can follow me on Twitter, Terminally Nerdy. You can view my website, terminallynerdy.com, and you can visit me on Patreon, patreon.com/terminallynerdy if you want to get these videos, all my writings, and everything else earlier than anybody else. And remember, stay nerdy, everybody, and have a great one.